Hi guys, welcome back and thanks for tuning in. Today I'm working on a 1998 Harley Davidson Road King that unfortunately has the Magneti Marelli fuel injection system. If you own one of these early fuel injected Harley Davidsons and you are on YouTube right now looking at me, most likely you're having issues. It's very common to have all kinds of problems with it, and I think it's important to share videos and information with all the other people that have the same bike. So hopefully this video will help you to solve your problem. The symptom on this motorcycle is serious backfiring. Sometimes won't start. You have to use a starter fluid, or sometimes that doesn't help either. When you get it started and you start riding the motorcycle, it backfires very badly. So this gentleman assumed there was a fuel related problem because the few times it helped him to use a starter fluid. So when he went ahead and replaced all the stuff inside the gas tank, you have a fuel pump there, you have a fuel filter, all that stuff is available. You can get aftermarket stuff, not very expensive. So he did that, no change. After that, the motorcycle went to another motorcycle shop where the gentleman told him that he needs to replace his cam sensor. That's also a common issue when they start melting away. So on your motorcycle, you might want to take this cover off and check if this whole cam sensor is melting out. They replaced that, again, no luck, same problems. After all this, I was the next guy who got the crack at working on this motorcycle. I said to myself, okay, let me find out first, is it spark related or fuel related? So I got myself one of these spark checker uppers, and what you do, you disconnect your spark plug wire that looks just like this at the end. You connect this on your spark plug, and your wire or lead for the spark plug goes here, and you crank the bike and watch if there's a little light flashing here or not. I didn't have any light flashing, so right away I figured out, okay, I got no spark. So forget about the gas tank, forget about the fuel. Right now I need to find out why I don't have a spark. I know they already replaced the cam sensor, so what I got left is three other components in my opinion. I got the coil with the leads, which I don't think both of them will go bad at the same time, so I'm going to replace the coil. And then I got the crank sensor, which is in the front of the engine right by your oil filter. I'll show you in a minute. Luckily I had used parts laying around, so I got myself into swapping these two items. So first I'm going to show you how the spark plug checker deal looks like when you plug it in. Normally this is plugged into your spark plug, just like this. You unplug it, you plug that looks like a screwdriver into it, and then you plug it here. Once you have a spark, you'll see it flashing over here. You can ride the motorcycle with this deal plugged in, just make sure it's not touching ground anywhere. Next thing I want to show you, it's the coil. The coil is located right here. This is your gas tank here. The coil is kind of hiding right here. Here's the plug for it, the electrical connector, and then the leads are hard to see, but they go from the coil to the spark plugs. So after my coil replacement and no change, I moved down to the crank sensor, which is over here. This is specific to Evo motorcycles, and the twin cam one is different. And I had to use one laying around, so I went ahead and replaced it. The key here is that the one that I had, the wires were already cut. The wire normally doesn't disconnect over here. It's a long lead that goes under the engine, in between the engine and the tranny. It goes to the other side. It goes around here and comes up, and it gets plugged in right around here in this general area. Well, because mine was already cut, what I decided to do is solder the wires together under the engine when you don't really see it. Because after I replaced the crank sensor, I still had no spark. So now I'm getting desperate. I'm thinking, could it be the ECM? But that's a $400 on eBay for used one. And I really don't feel like spending this gentleman's $400 without being damn sure that's what he needs. So I start going back and looking at the stuff that the other shop put on, and make a long story short, wiggling, disconnecting wires, checking there's 4 relays under the seat, which 2 of them are related to the fuel injection. Checking the relays, just jumping through all the hoops. And all of a sudden, when I was thinking I'm done with it, I don't really know where else to go unless this gentleman is willing to spend $400 for ECM that I don't really know if he needs. I hit the starter button and the bike started right up. So now finally we are at the heart of the problem in this motorcycle. The plug for the crank sensor that I replaced looks like this. So if you would buy a new one, it would come with a long wire that would have this kind of connector on one side, and the other side it's on the bike. It kind of looks like this. You plug it together and then screw this collar tight, and it's supposed to be in good shape. It's recommended to zip tie this on a motorcycle somewhere so it doesn't shake, but this one had a bad connection somewhere inside the plug, because even if I had this really tight and I was holding this from moving, if I wiggle the wire, this burn here, it's not what happened, that's afterwards from me soldering and having the soldering on too close, but when I wiggle the one side, that's when it quit. So what I end up doing, it's disconnecting this, cutting it on each side, and soldering the wires together. Okay guys, so here's your ECM. This wiring comes to this general area. It's gonna be either somewhere where you see it right away, or it's gonna be tucked in behind, maybe even behind the ECM, right here where you see my fingers coming out. So when you cut the wire, you have blue and black wire coming from the sensor, but here the wire that goes into the wiring harness for the ECM, the wire is red and black. So what you want to do is solder the blue one with the red one and the black one with the black one. In the connector there is actually 3 connectors. The third one is for this shield. See this this thing has actually a metal shield around it, and I guess it's connected together into the third connector, but I didn't worry about it. I'm just showing you this before it's all done. I got a heat shrink here, and this is these two here are already soldered together and heat shrinked. So all I'm gonna do is peel this over and heat shrink it, and it's gonna be ready to go. The bike runs fine. I took it for a ride. There's no issues. Some of you might disagree, but this metal shield is probably for some kind of interference, but it doesn't really affect this bike at all. So anyway, so this is the problem on this motorcycle. Once I soldered these 2 wires together, it's like perfect. I took it for about 10-mile ride, no problems, no backfiring, no nothing. Okay guys, so here's the finished product. It's got the heat shrink going over it. It's weatherproofed. It should be no problem at all. Just tuck it down here. It's not going anywhere, and the problem fixed. So I'm gonna summarize. First, if you have issues with your motorcycle, find out if it's fuel related or spark related. If we're gonna talk about spark related, what is involved? You got a coil, you got a cam sensor, you got a crank sensor in the front of the engine, all your connections obviously, which was my problem here, and you got 2 relays over here that are related to the ECM, and of course you got the ECM. These other 2 relays are for, I believe one is a brake light and the other one is, I don't remember right now, but a horn or something like that. But anyway, if you have a fuel problem, then you're gonna need to go most likely inside the gas tank and check your fuel pump, your fuel filter, fuel lines. If the bike hasn't been sitting, if it's been sitting, you want to check your injectors and whatnot. But, so hopefully guys this was helpful. I feel sorry for you if you have one of these Magneti Marelli Harleys, because they are prone to have problems. But this one ended up being a bad connection, and let me show you the proof. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, it would help me out, and see you in the next video.